Season 19, serial number 3, story number 118 overall. It is, of course, the cerebral classic Kinder, written by Christopher Bailey. Or was it? We'll get to that. Directed by Peter Grimwade, a veteran, and produced by Jonathan Nathan Turner. John Nathan Turner. God. What happens in Kinder, dear?
Well, there's a tent in a jungle, and a man in a military uniform. It's kind of more like British colonialism uniform. It's fine. It's like the safari. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And there's also a man asleep at some controls, and we fake put on a mask to act like a creepy thing and boo him when he wakes up. Haha, funny joke. Cut to the TARDIS. Tegan trying to help the princess in checkers and saying Nissa's weak still from that time that she went and fell over dead, which is still yeah, which she is still weak. She can't really concentrate and she's having brain issues, so the doctor has rigged up something to help her. He's going to be using it to put her to sleep. It uses a sonic screwdriver, so that can't be used in this story today. Back at the Min, they wonder where Roberts is. The man in the security says, I'm gonna go blame this on you, bro. Nearby, Lady Dr. Science says, the Kinder pose literally no threat to us, but we're probably a threat to them. We've literally taken some of them hostage, and so we're probably a threat to them. Security wants to leave this shit logged, and dude's like, well, fuck off, your hair sucks. And the doctor is walking around and has found some fucking fancy wind chimes. Math is being a fucking dick still and fucks with it, then tries to run off and be like, hee, I'm a child. The captain refuses to listen to anyone now, which is great, and he also hates opinions and beards. He is a mustache-only man, and he is in charge, and that is the only thing that matters. So let's do some exercising while we talk to Science Lady. And goes, wow, fuck Roberts and the others that got lost here, I guess. And the doctor is boring Tegan to hell currently by saying that she doesn't understand things that she doesn't understand while also playing Three Blind Mice on the chimes. Tegan is now in a fucking daze for some reason and is sleepy, so that's weird. Then she falls over and falls asleep while Math calls the doctor away from her, and he's found a weird machine, and it has a beam thing on it, and apparently it's an armored suit, basically, while Tegan has a fucking acid trip. Adric fucking gets it closed, thus making it basically start to move again. Meanwhile, as Tegan is found by the Kinder, and the doctor and Math are being escorted away by the robot, Tegan is given some nice flower necklaces, which is, just nice in general, and then everybody leaves. And the robot has brought them, the doctor and Math, to a place where it was taking them, I guess, to the ship and a door, and at the door they're met by Mustache and security who have a gun on them. And they're like, where the fuck is Roberts? Science Lady shows up, and they're like, why the fuck are you here? Also, the Kinder are the ones that built the chimes, by the way. Hey, could we get some breakfast? Yeah, no. Tegan is having a fucking drug trip through the chimes, and we go into her eye and see her standing inside her eye, and the doctor is spoken to by Mustache like, wow, look at this fucking paradise, right? Am I right? The doctor, for some reason, isn't very hungry, but we learned that there were 6 people here, but now most of them are gone. Wait, is it the Kinder? They seem innocent. They used to smile a lot until we took hostages, lol. Also, go meet the hostages, but they're not that interesting, so whatever. Tegan is seeing some people in Victorian clothing that are like, you don't exist. Go away. And she's like, wait, what? And the doctor says, hey, look, you have to notice that, they're in shock, right? They're like primitive minds, and they don't understand this. And she's like, no, actually, look at their necklaces. It's DNA. Why would they know about DNA? And he's like, oh, shit. Tegan is like, hi. And they go, are you real? I guess you're real. And they both have snake tattoos. And then a boy does a laugh, and then they zoom out. And by the way, there's no predatory animals here, and the climate is absolutely perfect. Because that's just, Also, maybe they're telepathic. Which I guess you could do something with them. Back to Tegan and the kid saying, wow, you exist, lady. Where am I? Guess, he says. And the doctor and Science are like, communicate and never speak, so that's my best guess. Mustache has forbidden eating all the food here, but they're eating apples, so, illegal. Tegan asks why they have snake tattoos, by the way, and they're like, don't worry about it, we're all the same. Cut to Kinder Dude walking up where there's 2 men and the other two react, and he's the only one that comes here to say hello to the dome. For some reason, it's weird. It's almost like he's worried or something. The doctor asks what the plans are, and she tells him, in which security overhears, and it's basically colonization. And he walks in and goes, "Hi, I want to know what the fuck you're doing. Mustache wants to see you." And then everybody leaves the room except him, and then he fucking destroys everything because he's a tiny man. As well as Kinder are staring at him through a mirror for some reason. That's weird. Mustache is like, "I'm gonna go off and do stuff. Security is gonna be in charge while I'm gone." Mustache goes, "Wait, if they're so smart, why didn't they build their own ship to come colonize us? What the fuck?" Math goes, "Wait, if that machine malfunctioned, maybe that's what happened to Roberts." And he's like, "You're smart." Tegan asks if she's dreaming, and he's like, "Ah." And Tegan also needs to agree to become him at some point, which apparently she will. Meanwhile, Security is showing them a mirror, and he can't stop staring at it, or him, and he's just having a time, and they give him the Helix necklace and a chair, and he's like, "Ooh, cool, I can control them now, cool." Tegan is trying to figure out shit, but wait, meet this person. It's also Tegan. Also time to figure out which one is the real Tegan, I guess. That's fun. That's a fun game to play. Mustache is leaving.
It is.
And wants to leave Security in charge, which, by the way, he's walked up behind them and go, "Hey, what's up?" And then as soon as Mustache leaves, we pull out a fucking gun, because the doctor is just evil, I guess, and Kinder shows up with the gun too, so they both have guns. There's 3 guns. Everyone's under arrest. And he's like, "I have the power over you, life and death, bitches." Or, I'm sorry. "I have the power of life and death over you, bitches." That's what it was.
I have that whole thing memorized because I just love I love it. Just you forget, I am now in command. I have the power of life and death over all of you.
Bitches.
I love it so much.
You forgot the bitches part.
No, he's not Jesse Pinkman.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm just imagining Jesse Pinkman as a fucking companion now.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I mean, technically, there is a companion that is close to Jesse Pinkman, as close to Jesse Pinkman as you could probably get on Doctor Who. He's like a Victorian orphan who like spent his whole life, like, you know, being treated like a Victorian orphan, you know, forced to work for like a street urchin, all that sort of stuff. Fun fact, he ends up stealing the TARDIS from the Doctor, completely fucking over some people because he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm the Doctor, give me all your treasure and I'll help you." And then the Doctor meets up with him and is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know what they're talking about, man. Like, I'm innocent in this. They're lying, whatever they say." And he's like, I know you're fucking lying to me. You're like, what are you doing?" And all the other companions like, "Come on, just give him some slack, Doctor." And the Doctor's like, "Fine, but he's not allowed in my TARDIS again."
Amazing.
It's great. Thomas Bruce is great. Anyway, this is Kinder, a story that is very, very Buddhist in aesthetic, but not really story until a certain point. Kinder is completely based on Buddhist concepts with Buddhist names and themes throughout the story. The planet's name is Devaloka, which means realm of the gods. The Mara derives from a demon of the same name in Buddhist mythology, which, as in Doctor Who, sort of symbolizes temptation rather than evil, or, you know, sinfulness, that sort of thing. In Kinder, Dukkha, Pana, Karuna, Anatta, and Anika's names and functions all derive from Buddhism as well. Dukkha is like suffering, also a play on the Doctor. Pana is wisdom, Karuna means compassion, Anatta is not self, Anika means impermanence. So it's very egregious in its examples, to the point where the writer, Christopher Bailey, the writer essentially regrets this now. Sort of going on record as saying, like, "I really regret writing names as overt as that, because it's like you wouldn't if you were he went on quote saying, if you were making a Japanese show, you'd think twice about calling one of your characters Jesus Christ. Like, it's essentially like that.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that was a really dumb decision for me to do. But hey, at least he learned. Another weird thing about this is, a weird urban myth about this story is that he didn't write it. An urban myth was that because he writes a few stories for the Fifth Doctor, and it was a weird urban myth that Christopher Bailey wasn't a real person. It was the pseudonym of Kate Bush, and she wrote these episodes. Stick with me, because it's not true. Christopher Bailey is a real person, but it's kind of insane, and I kind of want to bring it up. You know Kate Bush, dear?
Do I?
The running up that hill?
Do I?
Yes, you know Kate Bush. You know, if I only could make a deal with God, get him to swap our places. Be running up that hill.
Nope.
Running. What?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm assuming you haven't watched Stranger Things then.
Oh, the song that. Okay. The song from the. Okay. The thing that went. Yeah, okay. Alright. That song.
Yeah, Kate Bush.
That's the only time I've heard it, but anyway, continue.
Her music videos had gone from straightforward performances with lots of leotard shots to sort of mini-films, directed and at least conceived by herself, in which she showed off her training in mime, under a certain specialty of the time. The videos from the album The Dreaming were cryptic and effects-laden, and more by luck than judgment resembled a lot of early 80s Doctor Who. The title track put her in a lattice of wires and laser beams, like the Hadron Web from Castrovalva, wearing a pressure suit of the same exact make of a certain monster costume in an upcoming story, Earthshock, and also a song about colonialism and Australian Aborigines, much like Four to Doomsday did. And of course, Kinder, which we'll get to. This video might also explain, tongue-in-cheek, of course, why no Aborigine dancers were available to film for Four to Doomsday, because she had grabbed them all and was using them to film for her video. The same video showed what the plasmatons could have looked like with a lot of time and money, although plasmatons we'll get to, that's in Time Flight, and they look awful. It isn't really saying much that's new. Many videos of the time sort of looked a lot like that anyway, especially the specific image processing system used to like flip pictures and shit and like pixelate and all that stuff. But it was very, very weird that some people were like, hang on a second, this is very, very close. And specifically going through videos and shit and being like, hang on, this makes a lot of, this lines up with Doctor Who. Like, did she actually write this? Because it was kind of a little bit cryptic who Christopher Bailey was. Like, he wasn't really a public life person, and it was kind of hard to find evidence that he was a real person at the time before, you know, someone interviewed him later on. But yeah, it was just similarities in the end, like coincidental similarities. The lyrics of Bush's album tracks hinted at similar concerns to those of a, quote, Bailey, but only hint, like, literally just hinting. All sorts, like, her album contains all sorts of other things, like the Vietnam War was a bad thing. Like, it's kind of, like, the joke did rounds at a convention that Kate Bush wrote Kinder, and that was kind of the end of it. Like, it was weird. A couple of years later, Bush delivered her magnum opus, Hounds of Love, with a whole side given over to a mini concept album, and 4 of the 5 tracks on the side being singles. The title track uses a sample from a certain film, but it's like also more weird connections to Doctor Who in that sort of thing. But it's like, okay, 2 fans essentially started this rumor. 1 fled the country and now pursues a career in a former Soviet nation, while the other works for Big Finish now and kind of sweeps it under the rug that he came up with this. So, yeah, weird conspiracy theory that Kate Bush wrote this episode. It's a weird rabbit hole to go down. Another thing as well, real quick, during this, the actor that played the Colonel in this, a straightforward Richard Todd, was an Oscar nominee, been in various prestigious films, but he wasn't really that big on TV. Like, he hadn't really done TV. And it's kind of confusing as to what actually happened, but a a lot of people say that Matthew Waterhouse, between filming scenes, lectured him on how to actually act, not knowing who he was, and everyone was like, what the fuck is he doing? Why is he telling an Oscar-nominated and way more experienced actor how to fucking act? But Matthew Waterhouse, in his autobiography, has stated that he was actually poking fun of the scene that he had flubbed by looking at the camera a little while ago, and was saying that the secret of acting is to not look at the camera. It's like, okay, covering your tracks? Maybe. Who knows? But it's an interesting fucking thing regardless. What happens in part 2, dear?
Okay, well, the Kinder have heard mustache coming. And blind woman is like, do you have the box? And a small girl has the box, and she's like, I just want them to leave and go away at peace. But suddenly a man appears, and he mentally goes to her and goes, hey, I'm in pain. And he's like, he's not smart enough, or like, I don't know, something to speak. Like, there's a reason he can't speak. But he's also apparently hurt and needs healing, but not right now. So he leaves, and then we continue to just listen to the box approach. Math, by the way, is doing magic tricks, and Doctor's like, ha ha ha, that doesn't make sense to science. Security is putting 2 dudes in regalia now, and showing them how to actually act and dress, I guess, and he's just fucking around with them. Also, the robot's here, and she offers the box to him, and the mustache man is like, ooh, thank you? But then his face gets all weird. Anyway, the Doctor is taken out with Math, and the 2 guards are now following them. Tegan is having a fucking drug trip currently and hasn't figured out which one of her is real. The Doctor and Science and Math are all come to the camera control room by security's request, where he's talking about bacteria out in the jungle and the trees going to kill him, and they're being everywhere, and he's just like, ugh. And I'm like, I'm on to you, Doctor. I'm having a mental breakdown, and Mustache won't return like the others. I'm gonna clear the forest around with acid and fire and call for a rescue. And apparently he's defending the dome against trees, the seeds, the spores, and all the things. The Kinder are servants of plants, I guess, maybe, which is why the plants are hostile. No, Math is actually like, whoa, no, actually, he's right, the plants are danger. So Math is now in the dude's good graces. Tegan is having a breakdown. The Doctor and Science are back in the prison cage, and Math is to see something on the monitor, but he goes, oh, but then actually we can't actually see anything, and Math has stolen a thing from the table. Tegan doesn't want more her, but then she's like, don't think about it, think about whale bones.
I'm sorry, Tegan doesn't want her more.
Yeah.
But she thinks about whale bones.
Yes.
Do you want to explain that scene?
She's like, what if there were 10 of us? Wait, no, don't think about that. Don't think about that. Don't think about that. Don't think about it.
Don't say it.
Anyway.
Bye-bye, man. Don't say it.
But she does think about 10 people, and then she's like, oh, God, no. And then everyone morphs into one Tegan, and then it's fine, I guess, maybe. Math was given the Doctor a part, and the Doctor's like, oops, we got caught, lol. And security's very angry. And she asks, Tegan asks the kid dude, like, what he would do as her. That'd be weird. I don't trust you, so, I just want to be alone. So now Tegan is in a white outline and having an even worse mental breakdown. So, okay, I guess I'll become you, and I'll get my own snake, and IRL Tegan boy dude wakes up and has a snake on her arm. It's weird. Math is now being tortured, and the Doctor basically goes, I bit my tongue. Basically goes, yeah, actually, they are telepathic, by the way. Security is like, hey, time to torture you, because you did a treason, Math, haha. Doctor goes, wait, don't do that. Send him into the trees because, you know, that they don't have mercy. And he's like, no. Meanwhile, the armor box is now coming back and Mustache is coming back. And Security's like, no, Mommy, I don't want this. Mustache has returned. And Security's like, I can explain. I totally didn't make a fascist regime while you were gone. It's fine. And in return, Mustache is like, I brought you a box. Open it and look. But Security is going to open the box.
It was pain.
And he's not going to open it now. He's gonna wait till later. And Mustache is obviously a fucking entirely different point in time. I thought it was an entirely different point in time. Listen, I didn't know what was going on. He's a different person, basically.
It's very Buddhist.
Freaking out. Kinder, by the way, is near the chimes and sits under a tree, next to Tegan boy person and gets apples thrown at him, and he's like, ah! Mustache keeps trying to get him to open the box, by the way, and is gonna freak the fuck out over it. Oh boy. Tegan is basically going, wow, you're boring and sad, ain't ya? And then he just kind of raises his hands and she touches them and he's unhappy. And he wants Tegan boy to help free his brother from the dome and launch an attack. And Tegan goes, cool, I'm gonna take over your brain. Here, have my snake. So the snake runs across his arm and then he runs away laughing wildly. Mustache is now in prison and asked about the box, and he's like, ah. And then the security is like, open the box or I'll kill you. And the doctor's like, fuck, okay. And they open the box. Yeah.
They open the box and Todd screams. So, this isn't just a holy story with Buddhist elements in it. It's also got quite a lot of Christian iconography in it as well. Devaloka is presented to us as a corruptible Eden. The Mara blatantly suggests the serpent in paradise. The names of the figures in Tegan's dream, Dukkha, Anicca, and Anatta, are the names of the 3 marks of existence in Buddhism, although they're only named in the credits on the screen. The Kinder present themselves sort of as a hint of sorts of shamanic and pre-Christian practices. Also, we have the Wheel of History, and which suggests the sort of Wheel of Karma, which is very religious in the face of it all. But it's not a story about religion, which sort of tells you something about itself. Sort of like a lot more other stories, like The Face of Evil, when that was being made in the 70s, religion wasn't a big issue in Britain, and Christianity was rather seen as harmless and an ineffectual thing on the mainland. Well, other than, what's going on in Ireland. In the 1980s, though, Britain was more secular than ever. As Life of Brian proved in 1979, you had to go to extremes like turning the crucifixion into a song and dance number before anyone really took any notice or cared. So by this stage, the program can use religious symbolism the way that's almost casual, because you think back to stories like The Demons, where they weren't allowed to use an actual church, they weren't allowed to say God or talk about Jesus, but they were allowed to, talk about Satanism, that sort of thing. Whereas now they can be real casual about it. The Bible is just another literary reference instead of a foundation of a country's entire faith. Kinder is more about anthropology rather than about religion. So the symbols sort of become more of a case study. The media were more keen on like pop psychologists and like famous psychologists, all the such. So it's like more media started to use things like the Book of Genesis and all that as reference for science fiction. Things like Battlestar Galactica, and like Book of Exodus and all that sort of stuff. Whereas Kinder sort of just uses it without believing it, in a sense. It's a very weird sort of take. But the story also is very, very easily an analogy and reference to Australian colonization. It's unclear if it's kind of intentional or not, but there are a lot of striking similarities between both the Kinder themselves and their colonizers, and those of the Australian Aboriginal people and, well, theirs. Especially the fact that the fucking colonel is very British and they have the same sort of attitudes.
No!
The automatic dismissal of their status and intelligence, sort of saying they're acting out of ignorance or indifference. Similar sort of kinship systems are also reflected. Also, there's a vague sort of comparison to the sort of period of creation in Aboriginal lore known as the dream time or the dreaming, and the rainbow serpent, which is a serpent, but it's rather different than what the Mara is in this. But it's very much a story about colonialism as well, but infusing it less so from the side of the colonizer or the colonized, and more from a spiritual angle, talking more about that. Nissa wasn't in the episode, by the way, because, like we said last time, her contract was being discussed still, and there was legal trouble, so she has a headache and is asleep for 2 days during the whole story.
Oh, so it's a period. Got it.
Yeah, she had a period, sure. But also, it made a lot of sense because Christopher Bailey originally wrote the script with the Fourth Doctor in mind. He was meant to be like the old wise sage, but the younger Doctor, sort of anticipated by the production team, would no longer suit this portrayal, so they had to kind of change it anyway. So it's like, as they found out in season 19, it's a lot easier to write for 2 companions than it is to write for 3. 3 is really hard to write for, and that they regret it quite immensely. What happens in the next part, dear?
Is there ever a point where there's 4?
No. Well, no. There's never a point where there's 4 companions.
Actually, yeah, there is, but kind of not. So there's K9, there's Math Kid, and then there's, fuck, I keep forgetting her name. She was a Time Lord.
Romana?
Romana. Those were all there together at once, I know.
Yep, that's 3.
Wait, shit, yeah, never mind. Sorry. I was using the Doctor as the
I know
fourth
you
one,
like
don't worry about
K9,
it.
but K9 doesn't count as 2 people.
He does! No, I was using the Doctor as the 4th in my brain. Don't mind me.
Yeah. No, there's very... I don't think there's ever been a time where there's been 4 companions. Like, maybe in passing, like, 3 companions and there's, like, a 4th person who's just there for the episode or something, but never 4 at the same time. That is way too many to write for, and it would be a nightmare too.
Okay.
Unless it's sort of like... No, I can't think of any. There might be, but I'm pretty sure there isn't.
So anyway,
Right. What happens?
The box is a fucking Kinder Jack in the Box that is like funny hee hee, but also inside the box is something. It makes the power fucking entirely fail and scares Security Bro because it's dark. And the Doctor and Science are also turning into TV static and sees things about the Kinder. The box linked the Kinder with them and affected Mustache deeply and emotionally. Apparently he's so in shock he'll be fine. We should run off for the forest and leave Adric behind. Meanwhile, Kinder Boy Dude has found a stick, and the Doctor and Science have gotten lost. Math has brought Mustache and the box with him because they were left behind. He's like, hey, can I go for a walk outside? And he's like, nah. No one can go outside ever. Also, this book has everything we need about life in it. He's basically reading this clause that basically means he can blow everything up into particles because they'll be safe if they're dead. And Science and the Doctor are then confronted by the Kinder, by the way, including one in a mask who's actually a jester, which is like, haha. And then he's there to diffuse conflict, and the Doctor plays a magic trick on him, and everyone goes... And then the snake guy shows up and goes, sees him, because apparently I can speak, and everyone is like, what the fuck? What do you mean you can speak? That's fucking weird. We're even surprised. The young girl runs up to him and goes, why are you speaking? I want to read your brain. He's like, no, I don't like it. But then a man comes up and touches her shoulder, and she understands everything, because apparently it's the prophecy, and apparently Amanda, gifted with voice, should be obeyed, so oops, they get seized. Mustache is apparently talking to security again about blowing up the entire fucking dome, and now the bomb is in place, and they can now relax and enjoy themselves. The Doctor and the girl and Science are rushing to the place of daydreaming, and the old lady, by the way, Tegan is passed out under the charms. Her
lucky charms.
Wow, the word
wind chimes.
Wind chimes, thank you. I meant chimes. Also, the girl has like 7 dads, so good for her. Math doesn't want to play a game with security currently, and then he's like, I'll blow this place up. And he's like, okay, fine, fuck, shit. Girl is calling to the old lady who is named Panichetta, basically, and walks out, and she's like, hi, I'm here, I'm blind, I'm Panichetta. Anyway, we wanted to bring the woman. No, it's Panichetta. That's what I heard. Bring the woman, but not the Doctor? So that's weird. The box was meant to drive men out of their fucking minds, or something. Only idiots don't get affected by the box, so I guess the Doctor is an idiot. Come on, idiot, don't speak. Girl talks about how man found his voice, and Panichetta goes, oh, it's happening again. And she speaks in apocalypse metaphors and tells him to get ready. But then man with voice shows up and goes to talk to Panichetta because the man can't interfere. Math, meanwhile, is sneaking around and gets fucking caught, lol. The old woman goes, listen to me, and not this motherfucker. Dude is actually like, hey, they all listen to me now. And girl's like, okay, I guess I'll listen to you too now. And they're gonna go destroy the dome. But old lady's like, ah, great, it always ends with killing. Why is it never ends with killing? It's always killing. Everything's killing. Old lady's like, wait, you're not that one dude, you're someone else. Oh my god. Also, we bring up the Mara, who basically suffice on the suffering of everybody here, and so it's time to sit down and have a psychic-linked drug trip so we can all understand. Math has run off and gotten security suit thing, which the box, whatever. But Mustache has found him and goes, don't be mean to security. So now go to the doctor and science who are having a drug trip because the sky's gone all weird, and we walk into it and we see back in the olden times where they had clocks, both the beginning and end of time, where we did cool somersaults. Then one dude has a seizure and he's dying again. It's a lot. The Mara, I guess, fucked everything up, and now the old woman's dead, which is great. That's great.
I just love it when old women die.
Oh, all the time.
I'm looking at you, Queen.
God damn it.
So sorry. One of the kinder, one of the children that was playing kinder choked on an apple and spent ages crying, which caused yet another delay to recording. And also made another memo be sent around about safety. No one pondered the symbolism of a child choking on an apple in a story like this. Also, fun fact, I don't know if you know the actor. I can send you a photo of him. But one of the uncredited child actors in this is film and TV later actor Johnny Lee Miller, known for such films as Trainspotting, Hackers, and the Sherlock Holmes adaptation Elementary. This was his first role as a child. As a small child when he was like 10 years old. Which I find just fucking hilarious.
But also apparently Aeon Flux, the 2005 one. Huh.
Was he in Aeon Flux? Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. Another thing as well is Adric asks the Doctor about leaving the sonic screwdriver in the TARDIS, to which the Doctor replies, what would we need it for? At this point, the sonic screwdriver was becoming a little bit of a problem for them. That, like, a lot of people were being like, the Doctor can just get out of anything by using his sonic screwdriver. Like, it's becoming an annoying tool. So they were like, we need to think of ways to, like, not have the Doctor have the sonic screwdriver. This is how they did it in this one. The way they do it in the next one's pretty fucking funny. Look out for that. But yeah, as described previously, Nissa's not in this episode because they initially were going to kill her off at the end of the last episode, but then Peter Davison intervened and was like, no, don't do that. She's cool. And so they're like, okay, well, we need to renegotiate her contract then because, like, we don't own her character. The writer of The Keeper of the Traken owns her character. So while they were negotiating and writing up a contract, they needed to film this. So it's just like, well, we have enough to write her be incapacitated, and that's all. We can't use her other than that right now.
Sorry.
Are you looking up what Johnny Lee Miller was also in?
Yeah, he was also in Dark Shadows, which actually I quite liked as a movie. Anyway.
Huh. But yeah, he's in a lot of things. Apparently he was also in Dexter. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
What am I saying? I've barely watched Dexter. I've only watched a few episodes. I feel like I would have, like, heard a lot more if he was bigger in it. Oh, he's also in the upcoming series of The Crown.
Ooh, John Major. Ooh.
He's season 5 of The Crown.
Ooh,
when is season 5 out?
November.
Is it coming out soon?
November.
Oh, I have to wait that long. He was also Eli Stone, which is a weird show that barely anyone remembers but me. But I kind of love that show. I think it only lasted 2 seasons. But it's about a lawyer who has a brain aneurysm, but it causes him to see people like George Michael dancing and everyone singing and dancing to George Michael songs. It's great. I kind of love it. Every episode has like a musical number where it's related to the case he's working on. It's great.
Sorry, I'm very excited
anyway.
about The Crown season 4 now, or season 5 now.
You mean season 5?
Yeah.
Season 5 means season 6 won't be that far behind because they double book them.
Basically, what it looks like is it always releases in like the winter/fall. So
For you.
Yeah. So in a couple months.
Yeah. So yeah, that's we got on a sidetrack about Johnny Lee Miller and then got sidetracked again by
The
fucking
Crown.
Crown. Yeah, that's great. What was I talking about? What happens in the final episode, dear?
It's fine. Listen, while the rest of the kinder are running around, the girl gets a brainwave and runs away because she's like, oh god. And the doctor is confronted by her and they're like, oh god. And the girl goes, you're an idiot. I'm not Jed. I'm Panachet. I'm right here. And Voice Man is like, okay, time to destroy the dome by being, us. And then he's being made fun of by the Jester and he's like, no, stop. Dr. Science and Panachet are continuing. They're just like, don't worry about it. This is just what happens here. It's fine. The prophecy was to stop the attack on the dome, and the Mara are now in this world somehow. How did that happen? Oh, wait, it was probably fucking Tegan. Mustache is making little paper dolls, and they're all having a fun playtime. Wee! Math goes, I'm just gonna leave, and Mustache is like, I made all this myself, yay! And the doctor has found Tegan and realizes that she's dreamed alone, and she's in danger. Tegan has had a weird dream with weird things, because she's been asleep for like 2 days. Voice is making a box of sticks that he can stand in so that they also have a guard machine box, so yeah. Tegan only remembers the dropping apples on a dude and goes, oops, I brought tomorrow here, whoops. The kinder are gonna attack now. The security guard box is here, Math is in it. And he's like, oh god, please stop! And, oh god! And he's scared and thinking about, things. And the doctor goes, stop, just think about leaving. And he's like, oh god, And then Science and the doctor run into the dome. Math is having a panic attack over the kinder he hurt, but it's weird because he's gone, which is strange. The doctor and Science find Mustache Man, who is having fun. And apparently they were planning the capital city of the planet. By the way, security is in that big box and goes boo when he pops out, and he's upset that the secret was spoiled. And then Tegan and Math are like, wait, couldn't we dismantle the charges? And he's like, yeah, but there's probably more than this one. It wouldn't do anything. Just don't do anything, says Tegan. Because apparently she's learned to just not do anything, so whatever. Anyway, cut to security dude being like, I'll blow this place up. And Sign goes, wait, tell me about the city. And he's like, oh yeah, okay, this is where I'm gonna live. And the security's super duper effective. Like 20 billion%. By the way, the kinder are affected by mirrors because soul stealing, and that's how I control them, hee hee. And then we almost press the button for a bit, and then we have a scrap before we pull the box out, and he's like, wait, what's that? He's like, don't worry about it. And he's like, I want it. He's like, okay, but don't open it. And he's like, okay. And then he's like, wait, what is it? And she's like, I don't know, just don't open it. He's like, you can't tell me what to do. And he opens it, which makes him all staticky and fuck up. The doctor then shows up and goes, well, he opened that box. That fucks with dude's brains. And the box helps bring your brain back into phase, which would have been a really cool, key element to, the beginning of the story, but don't worry about it. So dramatically...
It's kind of implied with the effects.
So it dramatically changes security dude, and we need some reflective surfaces, quicks, because evil can't face itself, and the Mara can't face themselves, or whatever. And Tegan's just like, I don't get it. Anyway, no, I was saying, they were gonna help, Princess, or whatever, become more normal with her brain, but, no, she's literally just sleeping. So...
Yeah, they probably could have used it for that, but they didn't, because they wanted to get rid of the sonic screwdriver.
Anyway, it's fine.
That's Kinder, the
no,
Mara...
We're not done.
Oh, yeah, that's... I thought... Sorry, while you were talking about Nissa, I was like, oh yeah, we're talking about Nissa. That means we're talking about the ending. Cool,
no,
we're done.
I just wanted to bring it up.
Sorry, you have a lot
brain.
to get through still.
It was on my brain, and I was just like, that sucks a lot. Listen, anyway, we need to use multiple reflections to scare the Mara so they have nowhere to run. Meanwhile, Voice Man is chasing Girl around. He's like, I'll kill you, and then runs into the mirror circle. And Voice Dude is fucking pissed, and he's like, my arm snake is gonna get you, dude. I'm fucking Mara, bitch. And so they turn all the mirrors, and he's like, oh fuck. And then the snake runs off his arm. And he's like, oh god, a fucking snake, as it gets bigger. And then the Mara is kept in the circle, and Math is even like, whoa, he's actually a really big snake. And they drag the dude out of the circle, and it's just the snake now. Tegan's even, like, wanting to hang out with it, because she's like, oh my god, that was in my brain? And he's like, continue to hold the mirrors, boys, because it's weakened and disappears, and yelling man's body will be alright, so don't worry about it, and then it's dead. So, okay, we should leave. And Mustache and Security are walking around like, we're having a good time. We should all enter this into the log, right? No, but the manual says... Well, I've never read the manual, don't worry about it. Science basically goes, actually, this planet is going to be considered non-available and not to be colonized at all, so yeah, it'll be fine. Security and Mustache are going to say Science is like, yeah, no, there's too many trees. Also, the Doctor heads back to the TARDIS, and the Princess is like, hey, where have you been? He's like, I've had an adventure. And she just is like, okay. And now everyone heads out, and the Doctor looks around and goes, yeah, too many fucking trees, and then they leave.
Well, specifically, it's too green.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy being green. You look like spinach with a leaf. Okay, so now that's Kinder. That's Kinder.
Yes.
A very a story that at the time was not liked by fans, but actually was very liked by contemporary critics, to the point where the National Film Archive purchased it soon after its broadcast and wanted it as an example of the program at its best. I don't know if I'd say this is Doctor Who at its best, but I'd say it's a very good episode, very visual in certain aspects, and goes a lot of places. It kind of falls apart by the end, especially since Part 4 underran, so they had to pad it a bit with a few scenes that they had to film last second. But yeah, it's not 4 to Doomsday, that's for certain. But what did you think of Kinder, dear?
I gave it like a 4. It wasn't miserable, but I just was meh.
That's fair. But next episode, we move on from Kinder, and we go back in time to London, 1666. What happened that year? I don't know. Don't look it up. The blank, dear.
The recession.
You are close with it being a shun.
Oh.
But not recession.
Did
they even have an economy back then?
What? Who?
The British.
Oh. I mean, not really.
That's why I'm like, why would an episode be called The Recession if it's set in 1666?
I don't even know what happened in 1666, I'll be real.
It's a very pivotal year. Don't worry about it. We'll get to it. Seriously, don't look it up. I just said not to look it up, dear.
It was before you. It's fine.
I had said multiple times not to look it up. Now you know that's when the aliens built the pyramids.
It's true. That doesn't help me with the title, though.
Well, now I'm just assuming that you're fucking Googling the title.
No, I'm not. Would you like to hear my hands? I can.
Ah, lovely hand ASMR. You have 2 more guesses.
I can't think of words that end with "in."
Shin.
That's what I meant. Shin. Like in. Whatever. I legitimately cannot think of words.
Would you like a hint?
Sure.
What do you do when Grandma's in the retirement home.
Celebrate.
The celebration. No. No,
Okay. Visitation?
Yes, the visitation.
Okay.
The celebration!
Oh.
We go back in time to 1666 to send Grandma to a fucking retirement home. Fucking hell, dear. See you all next time.
Goodbye.